Roger Taylor. Hello, Roger.
Hello, Sally.
How are you?
Nice to be here. Very well, thanks.
Nice to see you.
Yes, something like that. Yeah, quite a while. It was before Bohemian Rhapsody, I think, anyway. Yeah.
Now, you've had two very successful American tours since then, and you came back from the last one at the beginning of this year. What's been happening for Queen since then?
Well, basically, we've done an album, which took a long time to record, and we took some time off in the middle of that to do a few concerts, two in Edinburgh, one in Cardiff, and one in London at Hyde Park.
Yes, well, that was obviously very successful. We read a lot about that.
Free one, yeah.
Yes, record.
Well, including the sort of 3 weeks we took off to do the concerts in the middle, about 5 months, something like that. I don't know, perhaps we're slow. It's hard to say, really. We just like to get things right, yeah. It's just the amount of time that it takes until it sounds right, until it feels right.
And your writing thing?
I suppose so. I mean, I think I seem to have a bit of a rock and roll tag.
Yes.
I have my quiet moments as well, and this is one of just a slightly more relaxed thing than usual. It's rather American, it turned out, but you never know till you've finished. You know, you can't sit back and judge it at all until you've actually finished. No, it's just the way it turned out. It seemed to fit well.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time on this wet day. Bring back memories of England?
Yes, it's just like being at home, actually. I was expecting lots of sunshine.
No, I mentioned early on that, in fact, all you guys have degrees, and we'll talk about those. Fairly unusual for a rock band. Why would a bunch of bright boys go out on Sydney Harbour in the rain yesterday?
Actually, the weather wasn't actually too bad on the boat trip. And just really, I think, to get everybody in our crew together to have a good time. Unfortunately, one of the boys had a couple too many beers, I think, and decided to take a dip.
He fell overboard?
No, he dived overboard, actually. He jumped overboard.
Still out there swimming somewhere, or did you pick him up?
He could be. No, I think the police picked him up, actually.
No, it wasn't one of the band, it was one of the roadies, was it?
That's right, oh yeah. It's all their fault.
It wouldn't be the clean-cut boys up front?
No, we wouldn't do anything like that.
Right. I mentioned degrees. I mean, there's no question about you standing amongst professionals as musicians. Let's talk about degrees. You've got a degree in what?
Biology, a BSc.
A Bachelor of Science in Biology. Now, you studied dentistry for a while?
I did indeed, yes. I really didn't get on with dentistry very much. I don't think they got on with me very well. And
the dentists or the patients?
I didn't really want to work for a living, for a start. And, well, I really didn't get that far. I did about 18 months of it, actually. And that's just to the stage where you start getting to look in people's mouths, you know. It's all on people who weren't alive, you know, up to then. But, so I just gave it up and switched to the biology.
All right. John, what's he got?
John's got a very good electronics degree.
First class degree?
First class honours, yeah.
Right, and there you go. Yeah, we'll see. And Freddie?
Freddie's got a graphics diploma, yeah.
Illustration and graphics?
That's right.
Right, there you go, a likely lad. Very much. And Brian?
All typical pictures posed at home. Brian, yes, that thing has, he's got a physics degree.
A physics degree. You'd pick him in one, wouldn't
He's
you?
also an astronomer, actually.
Certainly looks like one. Now, you've mentioned, I mentioned the 55 million albums you've sold. You've been playing for so long now, for 14 years. Is there a big difference between live performances, as you're doing in Australia now, and recording?
Yes, I think that you have to look on the two as being essentially completely different things. Recording is a different art form to live performance. A live performance is sort of excitement on the night, and we try to bring a lot of visuals into our live performances. And not so much to exactly recreate the records, that's not really the idea, is to sort of play the same songs, but with an extra piece of excitement, I think, that comes from being live.
Which is part, I mean, that was fun, the photos were fun, of course, but it's dressing up and the gear and so on is all part of it. That was serious stuff, was it? Right. But the gear, obviously, in terms of visual.
Well, that really was a piece of our sort of humour. I mean, that really was humorous, and some of the things are more serious than others. You know?
Yes, well, 14 years, again, is a long time for a rock and roll band to stay together and be successful. You've clearly paid your dues.
Yes, and it shows this morning. Yes, it's a very long time. I think we're one of the longest remaining bands to stay with all the original members. I can't think of anybody who's really been together longer.
No.
With all the originals, you know.
Is there a secret to it? I mean, do you spend much time together when we're not recording or not on the road? Are you good friends?
We spend some time, but obviously we get away from each other quite a lot as well.
Yeah.
You know.
Is that the secret?
One of the secrets, I think, yeah. And also, you've got to have the odd break, you know.
Yes.
Which we do.
I mentioned that you had pioneered video rock, especially with Bohemian Rhapsody. We've got a clip of that, and we'll talk about this, the rock clips. Now that doesn't. We get used to a lot of money being spent on video clips. That was in fact one of the cheapest ever made, wasn't it?
Well, I think it was cheap really because it was one of the first that was ever made, and so there was no scale of values really then.
$8,000 as against Michael Jackson's $500,000.
That's right. Yeah.
These days. Yeah. What was your attitude? Did you think right from the outset that video clips would be the way to go?
We did, in fact, yes, because we were involved. Our management company at the time was involved in one of the first video companies, the sort of independent video companies in England. And yes, we did think it would do really what it's done, but it took a long time to persuade some of our record companies.
Did it really? Yes. And what sort of money would you be spending now on video clips?
Well, unfortunately, anything £100,000 or $150,000, say $200,000. Process.
Yeah. Do you sit down as you do with obviously planning a record or planning an album? You sit down and work out what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. Do you sit down on this one as well and plan out pictures and new ideas?
Yeah, that's exactly what we do really. And we have a storyboard and we go over and over it with the director and the guys who's building the scenery and everything. Just like making a small film, I suppose. Really.
Yes. Is it a question of being more outrageous than the last one? Because I mean, if you look at them, let's say something like Countdown here in Australia or the music television in America, it seems that every group has got a video clip. So you obviously have to be better than the last.
Yes, in a way, you're sort of building an impossible staircase, really. The same with the live shows. Each one is supposed to be bigger than the next, unless you want to go straight to the sort of minimalist.
Do you think, has the music business reached a stage where you have to do a video clip to succeed?
Unfortunately, I think it has, yes, really. Or maybe somebody could come up with a really special record that would make it on its own merits. But I think really these days, to really crack the whole world, you need the video clips.
As one of the most successful groups to come out of Britain, you have a reputation for being extravagant, rather enjoying your wealth.
Well, it's quite fun, isn't it? You must be rich.
Why not spread it around? But what do you indulge in?
I try to spread it around. Well, I suppose we like just the usual things. I think some of us like cars, and somewhere nice to live is always nice to have.
Just the usual things like a Ferrari or a castle? And...
Well, yeah. No, I don't know about the castle, but...
Well, I just wonder about the age of groups now. We've had Rod Stewart celebrating his 40th birthday and Mick Jagger celebrating his, poor old devils, and you're 35.
Yes.
Do you see yourself as a geriatric rocker?
Oh, I hope not, no. I don't know, perhaps it'll grow up. I mean, Chuck Berry's getting on, isn't he? I don't know, perhaps we can grow old gracefully and still keep doing it somehow. I
don't mean it as a cliche question, though, but I mean, it obviously is one, isn't it? What do you do? I mean, you obviously don't need to do it now for the money. You're obviously enjoying it.
Yeah, very much so, yeah. In fact, that's why we do it, really. We do it because we enjoy it, for the enjoyment, really, I think. But, I don't know, one day they'll send us to the glue factory, I suppose.
With the rest of the old nags. Yeah. But do you ever think about, let's say the Beatles, we got used to the Beatles together and then they had to split because they'd reached a stage where they couldn't get on, where they're doing nothing. You obviously haven't reached that stage.
Not really. I think they had so much in media attention and everything, and we haven't really had that kind of career. It's been a different kind of thing. But people forget, I think the Beatles were actually only together for 7 years.
Yes.
Which is a surprisingly short time, really.
Do you get old when you see the reception for people like, do you feel old with people like Boy George and...
No, I feel great. I think that's what it's all about. Whether he'll be here next year, who knows, Maybe he will, maybe he won't.
Yes, but I understand there was a story where you had dinner with him once, and he told you that, in fact, he'd...
Oh, yeah, we had him up for tea, actually, and...
Boy George for tea.
We were doing a festival in Italy, and he came up, and he was very charming, and his drummer, and he just said, God, I used to love you guys when I was 12. Which, so Freddie and I felt very old.
Well, you're halfway through the Australian tour. You've got how much to
go? We've got 4 shows in Sydney,
right,
which start on Thursday.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for coming in. Good luck. Good to have you back again.
Thank you for having me.
Roger Taylor, ladies and gentlemen. Well, lots to go. Yeah. Lots to go. Okay.
The of this is to be aware of an erratic pulse.
because it's everything that you've learned is keeping in rhythm, it's obviously goes completely against the grain to try and drum randomly, and so it's quite tricky actually. The bass drum was basically the main heartbeat. Some of the other stuff on the snare was the sort of atrial, a lesser heartbeat, I suppose, and that was what I was trying to emulate, yeah. The drummer in the old-fashioned bands, which don't play to clicks, is the engine room of the band, and should the drummer sort of go wrong in his rhythm and his leading of the band, there will be chaos. It's very analogous to the heart and the body and our health, and